Expo SDK 54 is here with some huge updates. React Native 81, React 19, Precompiled React Native for iOS, Liquid Glass Design Expo Router version 6, which comes with link previews and native tabs, and more. Today I'll walk you through the highlights, key changes on iOS and Android, and I'll even show you some pretty cool demos you don't want to miss, so make sure to stick till the end. If you're new here, hit subscribe and let's dive in. And the first thing to highlight is that Expo SDK 54 now comes with React Native 81 and React 19.1. React Native 81 was recently announced by the Meta team and some other contributors, some from Expo, as you can see here. And this is the React Native version that comes with React Native precompiled for iOS. I actually made a quick test myself running SDK 53 and then taking the time versus SDK 54. And in my application, I was able to reduce time by 50%. Just by precompiling React Native. I can't wait to have precompiled Expo modules and precompile everything. Builds are going to be instant in the future, which is really exciting. On the Android side with React Native 81, now we have support for Android 16, which is the latest stable release of Android. You can learn more here in this Wikipedia if you want, and the API level is 36 for Android. Another thing I want to highlight about 81 is that Safe Area View is now deprecated. So if you are using Safe Area View, you should consider instead using Safe Area Context, which is this library by App and Flow company. And some history about Safe Area View is that was originally designed to provide limited iOS only support for keeping content in the safe areas, right? But unfortunately is not compatible with edge-to-edge rendering on Android and does not permit customization beyond padding. So as a result, many apps are now using a more stable solution, which is Safe Area Context, this one right here. Expo SDK 54 now supports the new .icon format introduced on iOS 26. This means that now you can create your icons using the new icon composer that comes with Xcode 26. Then save your icon, and I can actually show you right now. I created this icon, it's this one right here. But let me actually show you how easy it is to do that. First of all, you need to make sure that you are using Expo 54. And then for iOS, you can simply specify the path to the icon here. So what I did is that I created my asset. And this is actually an asset that is 1024 by 1024 that I created using my CLI tool Snap AI. If you want to check it out, it's a CLI tool that allows you to create icons quickly. It's not backed by Expo. This is a personal side project, but this allows you to create this kind of icons in case you want to test this quickly. And once you have this, you can, by the way, you can pass a flag without background, like background transparent, and this is going to generate something like this based on your prompt. Once you have this icon, you can then open your project in Xcode 26. So if I run xed_iOS, this will open Xcode 26. Make sure, by the way, that you have your iOS folder here. This is the project that we are opening by running this with Xcode 26. And this is how my project looks like. Now with Xcode 26, you can click on Xcode and then you'll have now this developer tools menu here. And then you can select icon composer. Then select where you want to save your icon. So in this case, I can actually select the one that I already have here. This is my project and I can open the same one and start working on it. But if you don't have one, you can just go ahead and select the assets folder, for example, and create a new one. Just drag your asset like I did in here on the left, and then you can, keep tweaking around. You can add more assets, more layers. Like for example, here, I decided to have the automatic, but you can change this to be a solid color for the background. Change this around, just tweak the color that you like. And once you're done, you can just save this by pressing Command S, save it in your assets folder. Once you save it, it looks something like this. It's icon.icon folder, and then it comes with some configuration. You don't really need to understand this. This is like the icon composer software is doing. But once you have your your icon.icon here, you can just pass the path under the iOS config in your app.json, then precompile again, build your app, and now you'll have your icon. That if I toggle dark mode, for example, you can see that my icon now changed to be in dark mode. But also, for example, in iOS 26, you can now edit your icons to be even transparent or clear like this. Look at that. This is my icon. And as you notice, my icon is compatible with it versus other icons that I've created, for example, this, that are just PNGs. We can also have tinted icons and change the color manually like this. Personally, I like to have the auto so that it changes automatically. Another big change is that Expo UI is now in beta, and now it includes support for liquid glass modifiers. Here we can see an example. You can now use the liquid glass on any views, or just use the regular buttons with the glass effect. But just want to show you the code. This is now how you can pass the glass effect. The Expo UI views now take a modifier, and you can pass an array of modifiers very similar to how SwiftUI works. So in this example, we are passing a padding, then a glass effect, but you can also pass a background, for example, and this is an H stack. By the way, something important on the new version of Expo UI is that now you need to have a host wrapping your Expo UI views. So if you were using Expo UI before, make sure that now on the latest version, you wrap your components with a host. You can import these from Expo UI, SwiftUI. This is how you can use the variants of the button. You can just, have your host again, and then import the button and pass the variant. We have glass prominent and glass. These two are the ones that you can see here on the right. Another one that really excites me is that the team is working on glass container effect. This is a new thing introduced by Apple on iOS 26 that allows you to have the liquid glass design in multiple views. So as you can see here, this is now like merging these two liquid glass views. And it's pretty cool. I've seen it in a couple UIs demos from Apple, and this is how you can do it with SwiftUI. The team is working on doing this on Expo UI, so I'm excited for that. Now let me show you a really cool demo of all the components that we have so far with SwiftUI and how it looks. So let's check it out. This is my app. First thing to notice is that it's only using Expo UI. Under the hood, SwiftUI. So this is of course a form component that at the end of the day has sections, and if you are familiar with SwiftUI, you know that you can provide a title for each section. So all the sections that you see here are coming from the home component. I'm also using Expo Router version 6, which comes with the native tabs. So we have the liquid glass here that looks absolutely amazing. And on the top left, we have this button. Now it is possible to have context menus with even nested pickers so that we can put in there a lot of options. I think this will be huge, right? You can even have like toggles, right? In this case, I can turn this one off. And the next time that I come here, you can see that now it's disabled. So let's turn it on again. And of course, you can change the logic based on your needs. But yeah, this is absolutely amazing. Definitely one of my favorite features now. Okay, apart from that, we have my user profile with my photo. This is using Expo image, by the way. And then we have this item collapsible. It has this nice animation showing more options in here. First of all, I can change the size of my image. Let's say large. There we go. Or you can just long press and then drag your finger. And yeah, right there is medium. Then let's see the picker. Fully native as well. If you take a look at my name, it's changing color. Cool thing about the picker from SwiftUI is that you can select a specific color. So let's grab this blue from the sky and let's add it to my colors down here. And we can change between the ones I've saved. Select this one. That's how it looks. Now, another cool thing about Expo UI is that it's fully compatible with dark mode. So I didn't have to do anything. It just works on dark mode as well. If I keep scrolling down, then we have the button section. It's just the regular buttons, but now we have the glass prominent effect that comes with the glass. It's like an extension, and you should use this for primary actions like confirmations and stuff like that. You can also, by the way, use buttons just with the system image from SwiftUI. Then we also have this gauge component. Very useful. You can use this for progress or percentages, loading states, or whatever you need. Of course, the slider is a different component that I'm using here to change the gauge value. So if I drag my finger here, you can see that the percentage changes in the middle gauge. And then we have this other one. You can have multiple colors like gradients or just a solid color for the gauge. That's how it looks. SwiftUI also has this empty state, and that's how it looks. You can just provide an image, title, and description, but let's add an item in there using these checks in here. Now, if I go to completed, now I have 2 items, but if I unmark them, now we will end up with the empty state that looks like that. In case you were wondering, you can also have context menus inside the list item or anywhere in your application. Very useful. If I keep scrolling down, we get to the daytime picker. The cool thing about this is that you don't need to install anything else. Once you have Expo UI installed in your project, you can just go ahead and import this time picker and set it as you want, or even let the user set it as they want. Like, we can have compact, which will show the date and time like this. If you only need the time, you can just have the hour and minute option. This will show it like this, or just date. You can have the classic wheel or the graphical. This is pretty cool. You can swipe between months or select the year and month with this wheel design here. Very useful, easy to implement. These are just dummy examples, but this is how it looks. Let's change to light mode. And now let me show you the charts, because yeah, we have Swift charts compatibility with Expo UI, thanks to an amazing contribution from the community. Now check this out, guys. I'm going to change the dataset, and we have for free this really cool transition between datasets and state of the chart. You can switch between chart if you want to have bars, you have sharp or very rounded, and that's how it looks. My favorite one, I think, is the pie, and you can switch between non-angular insets, small, medium, large. That's how it looks. Full pie, small donut, medium donut, large donut, large space. I think that looks really cool. Of course, you can also hide this information. We have some flags down here, like legend off, and now it's just a chart. But it's a good idea to have it on, I think. This segmented control is another component that you can use, by the way. Another thing to keep in mind, because we're using the large title, we have the nice transition as I scroll and the blur effect at the top of it. So I didn't have to do anything. Expo Router is doing that under the hood just by using native primitives for the navigation. And we also have the same at the bottom of the screen. You can see that behind the tabs, we have this nice blur effect. Okay, this is the demo. Back to the video, guys. Now, since we are targeting now Android 16 API 36, that comes with some changes, like for example, edge to edge is now always enabled and cannot be disabled. Now, if you don't know what is edge to edge, I actually made a tweet. I took this GIF from the Google documentation, the regular Android app without the edge to edge effect, and on the right, we have it enabled. It basically takes advantage of the entire space of the screen, and in my opinion, it looks way better. Now, another thing to mention here is that React Native Edge to Edge is no longer a dependency of Expo package, because the required functionality was actually built into the React Native repo thanks to Matthew. So shout out to Matthew, give him a follow. He was the hero that merged the change. If you were only using the enforced navigation bar contrast, this property here from this package, you actually don't need the package anymore. You can just use the Android navigation bar .enforce contrast property in your app.json, and you can get rid of the extra dependency. Another big one is that predictive back gesture is now available as opt-in. The reason why it's not enabled by default is because React Native Screens does not support it yet. And for those who don't know what is this predictive back gesture, it's basically on Android allows you to swipe left and see what's behind your application or where you're going before you do the swipe left. Because previously, if you do the swipe left gesture, you could get out of the application unintentionally. So now with this new gesture, you can swipe left and see what's behind. So you can see that there is an extra screen that you can navigate back, or you can check that the gesture is going to close the application, and you can cancel it by swiping right or left. Now, to support this gesture on Android, you need to enable this manually in your app.json, providing the flag under Android predictive back gesture enable. And similar to edge to edge, this should eventually be the default on Android. Personally, I think it's a great user experience. I was trying it out yesterday, and it's really nice to be able to see what's behind before you navigate back. Now let's move on to some Expo updates and EAS update. It's now possible to overwrite at runtime the headers request. This is huge for over-the-air updates because this enables developers to easily implement patterns such as opting employees into a different update channel than regular users. Another cool one about updates is that the use update hook now includes a download progress property. On top of that, when you call reload async, now you can pass a reload screen option, and this gives you control over the UI that is presented while your application is reloading. This, of course, provides a better user experience than just showing, like a flash white screen while the app is reloading. Here we have a nice example that shows how you can do that. You can show, for example, an image. Another big change about autolinking is that Expo now links indirect React Native libraries, not just the ones you install yourself. So this means, for example, if a library that you installed depends on another native library, Expo will link that for you. Before, this only worked for Expo modules, and this will improve, of course, developer experience because you don't need to manually install the extra native dependencies in those cases. And as always, if you want, you can still turn this off in the package JSON by setting this legacy shallow React Native linking equal to true in your package.json. Another big one, guys, SDK 54 is the final release to include legacy architecture support. So it's time to move on. I'm sorry, legacy architecture, but you're dead, okay? So if you're still using the legacy architecture, make sure to prioritize that because the legacy architecture is going away. And a good stat here is that actually 75% of the SDK 53 projects built on EAS use the new architecture. So if you still are concerned about migrating, you can come here and learn more about the work that has been done to address the last remaining identified issues found while migrating some of the largest React Native applications. In other news, the Expo Dev Launcher now has a new look and comes with some improvements with Hermes debugging experience. So this is how it looks. Really nice, and it's also compatible with the Liquid Glass designs. Apple and Android TV improvements as well. We have now experimental Expo Dev client support for Apple TV and full support on Android TV. We also added support for Apple TV in various SDK packages like Expo SQLite, Expo Background Task, Expo Task Manager, Expo Insights, Image Loader, Image Manipulator. So if you're working on a TV application, you can now use these packages. And also tvOS builds will leverage the new precompiled frameworks provided by React Native 81. So this means that the build time is going to be reduced as well for TV applications. Moving on to the Expo CLI, we have better error displaying here. This is how it used to look before, so pretty hard to understand what went wrong there. But now this is how it looks. Way better, you can see exactly where the issue is happening and inspect that and fix it. Another big one is that the React compiler is now enabled in the default template, and we recommend that you use it. Moving on to Expo Router version 6. We have to watch this video, guys. Let's check it out. Expo Router version 6 now comes with, of course, iOS 26 support, and it now supports previewing screens before the user navigates. Before navigating, you can see a preview of what's coming on the screen. And you can also have context menus there with more options. Beta support for native tabs on iOS and Android. And on web, now the modals emulate the iPad and iPhone behavior. So here we have some breaking changes from this upgrade. First-party JavaScript compiler support was removed from React Native. So React Native 81 no longer provides a built-in JavaScript compiler support. So if you would like to continue using JSC, you can refer to this link and learn more about what changed. Reanimated version 4 introduces React Native worklets. this is now a per dependency, and you need to install that dependency when you are upgrading from 53 to 54. I actually created a video on the channel that I'm going to leave in here so you can check it out and see how you can upgrade. Right now we have the tool versions bumps. Now the minimum Xcode version is going to be 16.1 and the minimum Node version is now 20.19.x. Okay, so make sure to upgrade Node if you are in an older version. So that's it for this quick overview. I hope you like the new changes on Expo SDK 54. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, leave me a comment. And if you have any questions, feedback, or issues, please let us know. We have a Discord community that you can reach out or comment here or open an issue on GitHub. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.